This computer, and there we go. Should be recording. So, I'm Tommy Tyree for the MPSF Network, and joining me today is Grand Canyon University men's volleyball head coach Matt Werle. In his 10 years leading the Lopes, Matt has made history. In 2022, he became the first GCU coach to reach over 100 career wins. In 2023, he guided the team to its winningest season and the first NCAA tournament appearance. In 2024, the Lopes secured their first NCAA tournament win, and Matt was named both the MPSF and the AVCA Coach of the Year. Now, GCU is off to a strong 4-0 start on this season. Matt, what have you done differently in terms of team culture and preparation that you think has contributed to this record-breaking seasons?
Yeah, I don't actually think there's been much different. I think it's just been the growth of the program, the experience of the athletes that have come into our program and their time and dedication to their craft ultimately has been kind of the change in our success. The school itself has grown drastically in my 10 years here. And I think as of recently, the last, 3 years, we had some guys that were fifth and sixth year guys getting those extra years because of COVID. And, in our sport, the more experience and the older that you are, a lot of times that's really beneficial. So sometimes youth doesn't always win. Just those guys with the high volleyball IQ, and we were able to bank and, use that to our successes the last few years.
That's awesome. So you're saying that when you're looking for new recruits and stuff, you're looking for the people who have more experience.
It helps. It definitely helps. So we have three transfers on our roster this year, and all three of those guys didn't have a lot of on-court experience. They had some, and just a matter of using their age and volleyball IQ, because I think this sport, like, you never see the same thing twice. So the more you play, the more you see, and the more you experience, and the better off you'll be in the end.
So then, speaking of transfers, you have a transfer outside hitter, Trent Mosier, um, absolutely dominated in the George Mason game last weekend.
Yeah, Trent's great. So he was a freshman all MPSF at another university, not to be named. But yeah,
Yep.
we were happy to welcome him home as an Arizona local. Anytime that we can have Arizona athletes play for us, the state itself gets behind these athletes.
Mhm.
But also, like, we never really want them to leave home. We want them to grow up dreaming of, being a Lope and playing in, our GC arena, Global Credit Union Arena. And, that's, I think, something that's really started to be established in the last handful of years. And, for Trent to come home, we welcomed him with open arms.
Mhm. Yep. So then, with all of this great talent that you have and the people coming back home, looking to their future, this Friday you're playing 16th UC Santa Barbara. What are your expectations for this upcoming game?
I think this matchup is gonna be a really good one. I think they're both gonna be long nights. I would expect 4 or 5 setters. I don't think either of us are gonna really run away with the match. It's still early in our season. We obviously have 4 matches under our belt, and they've got a few under theirs as well. I think we're really still waiting to be kind of challenged. Not saying that we haven't been, but I think that the scheduling early, we didn't know what we were going to get out of NJIT. And our guys performed really well. They were excited to get on the road, bond on that long road trip in cold weather, which was great. And then, being back home, there's always a little extra adrenaline for those home openers. So our guys dropped one set, this last weekend at home against Mason. But I really do think this matchup is going to be a tight one for us. And we're really going to see what some of these new guys are made of.
Yeah, and definitely that home field advantage. You guys have crushed it in it, continuing to win over 100 games at home, while away a little more here and there, but still continuing with the great success that you guys are doing. One last question I have for you is, how has the MPSF benefited you and your school?
Yeah, I mean, the names that are in the MPSF, like, it goes without saying. And you throw UCLA and USC and Pepperdine and Stanford and BYU, and, those programs that just have so much history and so much success. I mean, I don't know the exact percentage of the national championships that have been won, but I mean, the MPSF is arguably the best conference in the country, and the athletes that are in our sport are so special. We had to revamp our recruiting. So we've only been the MPSF for, I guess, not all 10 years that I've been a head coach. So we started in the MIVA, which was this conference in the Midwest. And, you have Ohio State and some really strong programs in there, but we had to kind of take a step back, revamp our recruiting, go after a bunch of California kids as opposed to those Midwest athletes. So there was definitely a step backwards before we could really take those big strides forward.
Mm.
But yeah, just the notoriety of this conference and the schools and the brands that come along with it make recruiting a lot easier. Travel's a heck of a lot easier. To and from LA is great. That's not bad travel from Phoenix.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the notoriety of the schools. It's fun to be a part of this conference.
Mhm. I totally agree. And so we've been talking to Grand Canyon University head volleyball coach, Matt Werle. He and his team are expecting great things this season. Coach, thank you so much for joining me today on the MPSF network, and we look forward to following you along for the season here on MPSF.
Awesome. Thank you.
For more MPSF network, I'm Tommy Tyree.